Hi everybody, it's Wendy with Ask the Landlady, and I'm here with all the tips and tricks to help you make profit in real estate. And today's episode is not necessarily a question, but it's actually an observation, and it is something that actually happened. Someone was telling me they were having trouble with a tenant who was being very argumentative and creating a lot of drama at their complex. I think there's 5 units there. And they wanted to send the tenant a letter telling them to stop or they would be evicted. And my comment was, caution, tread lightly. You can't, if your lease cannot back up this claim, like you're being too argumentative, so you got to get out, then you should not have that in writing. You should definitely never put anything in writing that your lease cannot support. And just creating drama or being argumentative is probably not specifically listed line items in your actual lease. So that being said, I was like, don't do that. Don't put anything in writing. That's the number one rule of being a landlady. Don't put anything in writing that you cannot support or claim with any of your paperwork, with any of your lease guidelines or policies. So don't do that. Instead, let's try the simple way. Let's have a conversation first with the tenant, or better yet, direct the people who are coming to you and complaining back to the tenant and let them have a discussion with it. Because again, you're the landlady, you're the landlord, you own the property, you provide a safe, clean place for them to live. You're not mom and dad. You're not there trying to like, stop it kids, don't argue, stop creating drama. It's not your job. Really, truly it isn't. So try to get those tenants to handle that themselves. Now that being said, if you're having a tenant who's not being very neighborly, playing that music loud, letting their kids running around and just being very difficult, and it's running off your other 4 tenants in the building, then you do have a problem, because you don't want all your good tenants to leave and look for places, and you're still stuck with that troublemaker that's going to keep you from renting out those other 4 units. So you, after gently directing the tenants back to handle it themselves, if it's an ongoing issue, then you may need to intervene. Nobody likes to do that, but you may have to. And if it's definitely threatening, dangerous, or harassing in nature, that needs to go to the police. And those tenants that are dealing with that person who's doing those things needs to go to the police and get a actual police report. Because if there is a report that somebody's constantly harassing them or threatening them, then you have a way to get that problematic person out legally, because that's a lease violation, having a police report. That's something that you need to do. And that's something you need to tell your tenants in any of those situations. They're gonna come to you and say, this person makes me feel unsafe, or they're threatening me. I'm not the police, you know? It's like when I send my kid on a field trip, you know, I'm like, Anna Claire, don't put me down as your emergency contact, put the doctor or the hospital, they can do something. I'm just a mom. Here, you're just a landlady, you're not the police. So have them, and you're not a social worker, and you're not their best friend sitting there listening to all the drama. So direct tenants back to try to handle situations themselves. If it comes to a boiling point and you need to intervene, there are definitely ways to do that. And you can check all that out in my book, Lessons from the Landlady, where I talk about all the mistakes I've made, all the things I've remedied, and how I handle those types of difficult situations, because they can easily escalate if you don't get them under control. And you certainly don't want one person running off all the other good ones. But again, let's go back to the basic point of this is, don't put anything in writing that your lease cannot support. That can get you into a lot of trouble. So don't do that. Instead, have conversations, have open communication, try to do other ways of doing that. If that person who's unruly also suddenly doesn't pay their rent, that's an easy way to get somebody out. It's not easy to get somebody out just because they're argumentative, but it is easy to evict someone because they are not paying rent in a timely manner. So that's another way to handle that difficult situation. It's a roundabout way. So thanks. Put in the comments, have you had to deal with an unruly person? How have you handled it? And what are some tips and tricks that you can give all of us in this community? Because it's not easy being a landlady or a landlord, and we are all in this together. So follow me, subscribe, comment, and connect, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Have a great day.